The Placement Cup is just a couple days away now, and today I'm going to be going through what you need to do, as well as the format, the weapons, and everything you need to know to do well in the upcoming Placement Cup this weekend. I'm also going to be going through exactly how you should be playing it, so you can get the best placement and hopefully get put in that Elite Cup early on. But let's first start off with the tournament itself. It's happening across one day and has 2 rounds, the semi-finals and the finals. You need to be in Contender League or higher to play, so make sure you're playing Arena to be able to get yourself up into Contender League in time for the cup. And the way it works is you need to place in the top 1,400 of teams in the first round, also known as the semi-finals, to make it to the second round. And for the top 200 teams in that final, they will make it into the Elite Division, where the top 800 will make it into Challenger Division, and everyone else will fall into Contender Division. So it's important to try and have the best start here and place well in this cup, so you can hopefully try and start off in that Challenger or even the Elite Cup coming into the first weekly cup this season. The format is the same as last Challenger Cup. 65 points for a win and 1 point for a kill, meaning it is super placement heavy. So don't bother W keying, try and play for more of placement endgame sort of play style, but your first game is going to have a lot of drones in it. So in your first game, I recommend everyone to try and go for a 10 to 20 kill win, but don't force it. Don't try and force yourself to get those 20 kills or those 10 kills, because a 3 kill win is better than a 7 kill mid-game death. And talking about mid-game deaths, let's try and avoid going for mid-game fights. This season, the map is a lot smaller, so dragging out mid-game fights, you are going to get punished for it. With the map being smaller and more open this season, the chances of some guy hitting you in a fight is going to be quite high. My recommendation is to W key off spawn, win your drop spot, then play full endgame. The good news about the map being smaller is we can actually rotate around the edges of the map. A lot of the time for most zones, you're going to be able to go all the way around the edge of the map, going full dead side and avoiding fights that way, and then play for kills in that endgame. Don't bother at all looking for those mid-game fights unless you have an obvious advantage or can third party an easy fight. You know you can definitely win quickly, but 100% don't think it's worth W keying a team to try and get 2 extra points when there is an extra 40 points in placement on the line. Now, sliding over to drop spots. Where should you be dropping? This is quite a hard question to answer. The map's a lot smaller this season, the POIs are much bigger, and it is just unlike anything we've seen before. With a lot more smaller drops and splits and less POIs, it's important that you decide where you're going to be landing, and fast, because you need to pick your drop spot, create a drop map, and loot route before anyone else. Because it's so early on in the season, most people are not going to have loot routes or drop maps set up. So we can take advantage of this, so we can set ourselves up to be 30 times better than everyone else in the lobby. Especially with drop map this season, as everything in the new season has not been updated, which means no Discord servers have got drop maps for every single POI. This is where most people get their drop maps from, meaning no one has them unless they are making them themselves. So make sure to make your drop map early on and master your new drop spot ahead of this weekend. Now, moving on to weapons, we have had a few days so far to test everything out, see what it's like, but I've seen a couple things recently. First thing, let's start off with the assault rifles. Now, all the ARs seem good. I've seen a lot of people talking about the Excalibur rifle, and I'm not going to deny it. I think it's going to be great for comp. You can fire them into people's boxes, which could be the difference between you needing surge and not needing surge. But I would definitely only take this if I'm in a dead lobby. I think it could even be worth doubling it up in those dead W key lobbies, so you can fire at someone's wall, one will break it, the other will hit them, and if you can time it right, you could do a ton of damage to people. So as a weapon, I'm not going to deny, I think it could be great choice, but in stat games, I just think we can all agree that the Scar is clear. It's the best AR in the game, it's the easiest to get surge with, and unlike the Excalibur, I think anyone can pick up the Scar and just start popping off with it, and it will especially be great for dealing damage to people and getting a ton of surge. Now, moving on to the debate of the shotguns. What shotgun should we pick? Whatever you're best with is what you should pick, but I personally think the Thunder Pump is the best. It has the ability to hit 195 damage, which allows you to hit real hard, especially on low ground in endgame when maybe you're solo and you need to get a refresh. Being able to max people for high damage, hitting 185, 190, even 195 on people with the shotgun is just going to instantly take them out. Most people going into the later zones are either 150 health or less, meaning most of the time you're going to be running around just one pumping people if you can hit them in the head. But try and get used to it, play a ton of arena and 1v1s, just do your best to get used to the Thunder shotgun if you can, because really it is a great shotgun. You just need to get used to it and you'll start popping off with it in no time. Now we're moving on to the last 3 slots. What should we carry? Now, first of all, let's start with meds. I think, again, splashes are the best meds this season. They did bring out the new slap juices, but I don't personally think they're worth carrying. I don't think they can offer you enough shield to be thinking about carrying them. But if they're the only healing item, then obviously I'm going to take them. But I would rather have a big pots and splashes over slap juice and splashes. So they're the 2 meds I'm going to be aiming for, but also make sure someone on your team is carrying 6 minis as well. Now, moving on to the hammer. I think the hammer is the way. I think we should be double hammering, meaning you and your duo both take a hammer, because you can use the hammers to get out of some of the sticky situations and can use it to rotate with. So definitely, if you see the hammer, you should be taking it. Get used to it, stick with it. This season in endgame, it's a bit like a no movement meta, so definitely try and get pads from supply drops if you can, and you can use your hammers to rotate over there. Just try and get as much mobility as you can and you'll set yourself up in the best position to do well in endgame. Now, I'm going to recommend everyone to start playing arena. Try and grind as much arena as you can coming into this new season, because the map's completely different, the gun's completely different. You just need to get used to absolutely everything, and the teams that are playing the most arena are going to be the teams that are doing best in this new Placement Cup. So make sure you're playing lots of arena, getting used to it, getting used to all the new guns, so you could do the best coming into the Placement Cup. Now, moving on to the perks. I think the best perks are, first of all, the aerialist. This literally gives you a glider redeploy, meaning you can fall off height in endgame and can open up your glider and be chilling. Or you can even use it just to build up and rotate with. The glider redeploy is great. I'm so glad they've added it as a perk, and you 100% should be using it. It's going to be great for when you're in big build fights and people knock you down. The fact that you can literally just open up your glider, or you can even glide away from fights and stuff. It's going to be one of the best perks to take this season. So definitely, if you see it pop up, grab it right away. The next best perk is the Splash Medic. This is great. Every time you open up a chest, you have the chance of getting a splash out of your chest, which is amazing. Splashes are the best meds in this season, and you should be aiming to take even 6 or 12 if you can somehow find 12. So try and get the Splash Medic early on. If it's later on in the game, it might be worth re-rolling or picking the other option, as you're not really going to be getting too many chests. But definitely in the early game, if you get Splash Medic pop up as your first perk, or you know you're going to be opening a lot of chests, then definitely grab the Splash Medic. It is going to be great and going to help you get stacked up for that end game. Now, the next 2 I'm going to talk about is more parkour and soaring sprint. Now, more parkour gives you energy every time you mantle. So that little energy bar, it gives you a maximum energy for, I don't know the exact time, but it's a fair decent amount of time. A good like 10, 15, a solid 10, 15 seconds. And every time you mantle, you're going to have maximum energy, which means you could just tack sprint infinitely for the next 10 seconds, which is amazing when it comes to rotates. You can literally climb on top of a wall and then just run and sprint. You can use a tactical sprint and just jump at the same time, and you can rotate really far, really fast with it. So definitely take that if you see it, as it is amazing for rotates. Now, moving on to the other one, let's talk about soaring sprints. Now, what this does is it means when you're tactical sprinting, when you jump, you have low gravity, which again is amazing for rotates. You can sprint, jump, and you'll have a low gravity, and it will send you further, and you can run a lot further with it. So when you compare the 2 together, the mantling one and the soaring sprints one, you have the quickest running rotate possible, and it's going to be so good for rotating this season. So definitely, if you see him pop up, you should take them. Anyways, that's everything you need to know to be able to pop off in this placement cup. We went over the best shotgun to be using, what perks, as well as how you should play the cup, being that little bit more passive. Anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please open up Fortnite and put code TAVEN in your Fortnite item shop. It helps you out a ton. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and peace.